Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Osarame, and in today's video we are going to be doing the part 2 of this particular tutorial. In my last tutorial I showed you guys how to go about the cutting of the pattern for the making of this type of neckline. The video was too long and I had to separate it into two, so today we're going to be sewing it together. So if you're interested, keep on watching and let us get started. Okay guys, this was the front pattern that we drafted in my last video. So I have my fabric here. We're going to be transferring this onto our fabric. My fabric is currently folded into two, so you want to make sure your fabric is folded into two. So you're going to bring the center front pattern and place it very close to the folded edge. Okay, you see it's folded into two, so this folded edge here, pin the center front pattern to it, and then pin the side front to very close to it, but make sure it's at least 2 inches distance between the both of them. Okay, so I'm going ahead to pin it all the way down. Okay guys, for the yoke I'm also going to be placing it somewhere, and I'm going to go ahead and just pin it at several points so that it stays perfectly. So now I'm going to cut around the center front, just giving it 1/2 inch stitching allowance all the way around. Now for the side front, I'm going to give 1/2 inch stitching allowance to the end. Now for the side, the area that's going to be on the side of the blouse, we need to give it more than 1/2 inch of stitching allowance. So I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches here. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut it. This side is going to be the only part that you're going to give 1.5 inch to. Every other part you're going to be adding 1/2 inch of stitching allowance. Now for the yoke, I'm going to be adding 1/2 inch of stitching allowance all the way around as well, and I'm going to be cutting out 2 pieces. So I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces because I want to also use this actual fabric to serve as the lining for the yoke. So these are all the fabrics we are going to be working with for the front. So I'm going to be removing all the pins so we can separate the patterns from the fabric. So now these are all the 3 front patterns, the center front and the 2 side fronts. So I'm going to go over and iron my hairstay to the wrong side to give the fabric strength. Okay guys, I've ironed the hairstay to the wrong side. Okay, so I also went ahead to cut out lining pieces for all the front pieces as well. You can iron hairstay to these pieces if you want to, but for this I didn't iron hairstay. Now for the yoke area, remember I cut out 4 pieces, so 2 for each side. So there is really no need to be cutting out hairstay for these pieces anymore. So basically what I'll go ahead and do is to just stitch these straight areas here down for both pieces. I'm done stitching it down and I went ahead to iron it out, as you can see. Okay, so this is where I made my stitch and this is what it looked like after I was done ironing it out. Okay, we're going to be leaving these aside and we're going to be working on the actual pieces for now. So I'm going to be cutting out my wadding to use and pad the bustier area. So I'm going to fold this into 2. I'm going to be cutting out the center part first, so I'll fold the center part of my fabric into 2 as well. So let me just go ahead and cut off this excess that I have here. So I'm going to be placing my fabric as it's folded like this. I'll be letting my wadding stop exactly where the curve started. So you see how I'm placing the fabric from where the curve started on the wadding. So I'm just going to go ahead and trace what I have on the fabric into the wadding, but make sure that you are starting from where the curve started. So now I'm going to cut about 1/2 inch away from the neckline area of the wadding like this. Okay, so yeah, this is what it's supposed to look like. The wadding is not supposed to get all the way to the top of your neckline. So once you're done cutting it out, it should look like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the one I'll be using for the other 2 sides, and basically you can use any one of the pieces. I just decided to join them together again, but you can literally use one of the pieces. So you need to have 2 pieces of your wadding placed one on top of each other as well, like I'm doing here. So you're going to place from where the curve started as well on your fabric, and you're going to go ahead and trace what you have on the curve into the wadding, and then trace the top as well. Now the wadding does not have to get all the way to the side. Now I'm just going to curve this other side to give me like a cup shape. So now when you place the wadding on the fabric, it should look something like this, okay? And for the other side as well, it will look like this. But I'm going to be cutting ½ inch away, about ½ inch or even less from the top as well, because they're not supposed to get to the top where the fabric started. So it should look something like this. So now these are all the 3 pieces placed side by side. I'm going to go ahead and pin the waddings with the actual fabric so that they do not move away. So now these are all the pieces pinned with the wadding. So I'm going to go ahead and arrange them. So I'll place the sides with the center. I'll be starting my pinning from the end of the blouse, from the waist area. So I'll pin from the waist all the way to the top. So on the curved area, you want to arrange the curve to fit perfectly into the area where it's supposed to be placed, like this, okay? So just go ahead and arrange it. Make sure it's not bent. If you do it properly, you should have the same amount of fabric left at the top of both sides. So this is what I have, okay? So if I turn it over even before ironing and stitching this, you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for this other side as well. So I'll start pinning from the bottom. I won't let us fade away, even when we old and gray. Know that I'll be here to stay. Let's fall in love. So now guys, this is what I have. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch on both areas that I've pinned down. Okay guys, I'm done stitching it down and also went ahead to iron my seams open. And this is what I have. So I'm going to cut off the excesses that I have at the top areas here. I also went ahead to stitch my lining just exactly as I've done on the actual fabric. So now I'm going to be attaching the yoke. So please remember that the widest part of the yoke is the shoulder area, okay? And the smallest part is the part you're going to be stitching to the armhole part of the sleeve. So I'm turning this over upside down like this because I want to cover it up with my lining so that I'll stitch everything together once. So place your yoke in this direction and then go ahead and cover everything up with your lining, just the same way you would put this together if you were attaching a yoke to a normal bustier. If it was a normal yoke, just the same way you go about it, that's how you go about this. So I'm arranging the yoke, making sure it's perfectly in place, and I'm going ahead to pin it down. And of course I will continue to pin the rest of the neckline as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch around the neckline here. So guys, this is what I had after I was done stitching around the neckline. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess allowances and make notches all the way around. I have turned it over to the right side and this is what it's looking like. I'm of course going to iron this out so that everything looks neat. But before then, I'm going to go ahead and join the sides together. Okay guys, this is what I had after I was done stitching it down. So now we're going to work on the back part. Remember in the last video, we drafted a simple back pattern. And I told you guys to make sure that the back pattern you're going to be using for your queen Anne neckline is a full shoulder. So I've gone ahead to add stitching allowances all the way around. I added 1.5 inch for my zipper allowance and I added 1.5 inch for the side. But for every other part, I added 1/2 inch, as you can see here. So I'm going ahead to remove my pattern paper, and these are the fabrics we're going to be working with, the 2 back pieces. And of course, I've gone ahead to cut out lining for the 2 pieces. So this is what it's looking like. So I'm going to go ahead and pin all the areas that I'm going to be stitching down. This ain't gonna be no broken promise. No show, girl, I'm just being honest. I'll give you what you've been missing. So now I'm going to stitch down the neck, the center, back, and the side. I'll do the exact same thing for this other side as well. So guys, I'm done stitching it down for the both pieces, and this is what it's looking like, and this is what the wrong side is looking like. I've gone ahead to stitch down my dart. Remember, we had our dart on this pattern, so I just stitched it onto the actual fabric, and this is what the 2 pieces are looking like. So now all we have to do is join the front and the back pieces together on the shoulder. So you're going to arrange your pieces right sides facing each other like I've done here. Now I'm going to be making sure that everything is staying perfectly, and I'll use one of the lining to turn everything over. You can use the lining for the front yoke as well to turn everything over. This way you're going to have a very nice looking shoulder area when you're done. You're not going to actually see any of your stitch if you do it this way. So I'm just going ahead to pin it down, as you can see. So if I turn it over even before pinning it down, you can see how neat it's looking here. Okay, you can see how neat it's looking. And this is what the wrong side is looking like, looking very neat as well. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch this area down, and of course do the exact same thing for this other side as well. So guys, this is what I have. This is what I had after I was done stitching down to both sides, and you can see what it's looking like on the wrong side. I've just pinned out the zipper allowance area so that I can join the sides for now. I'll be fixing the zipper probably later. So now I'm just arranging the sides together, making sure they are well aligned, and I'm going ahead to pin it down just like you see me doing like this, and I'll do the exact same thing for this other side as well. So I'll go ahead and stitch down the sides. So this is what I had after I was done stitching down the sides. You can see what the back is looking like, and the Queen Anne's neckline here. This neckline actually comes out very nice if you use a lace for the Queen Anne's neckline area. I was just trying out this piece of lace that I had at home. I actually looked nice. You guys saw it at the beginning of the video. So if you do this neckline with a lace, it will look really nice. You can go on from here to add whatever type of sleeve you want to add, and continue with whatever it is you intend to make this into. So yeah, that's all for the making of this video. Thank you so much for watching.